Hey everyone, it's Kristen Maka with Futurity First Insurance Group, and welcome to Kristen's Nuggets of Knowledge. If you can't tell, I'm in one of my stores. We're in the final stretch of AEP, the annual election period, the time of year when those Medicare eligible individuals can sign up for a new prescription plan or an Advantage plan. And today, if you haven't already dove into your possibilities, today I'm going to go over all of your options when it comes to Medicare insurance. So make sure that you are in a comfortable seat. It's going to be a longer video than normal. Are you ready to go grab these nuggets of knowledge? Let's go, shall we?
All right, everyone. I hope that you have your popcorn ready and your soda ready, because we're in the long haul here for a Medicare 101 class, where we go over all the different options, more or less in detail, on Medicare. Option number 1 is to keep original Medicare in place without adding any kind of extra insurances. And I highly recommend against this because the risk of this, financially wise, is unlimited. Option number 2 here is to keep original Medicare in place as is without changing a diddly darn thing, and add what is called a Medicare Supplement or a Medigap plan to cover the medical expenses or gaps associated with original Medicare, as well as to get other coverages in place to cover what original Medicare doesn't cover. Our third option over here is a little bit different. You still will be keeping this original Medicare card, but your insurance is going to go through a private insurance company. Now, you still have all the rights and privileges as you would under original Medicare. It is just your choice to get the care provided to you through a private insurance company. So it is called Medicare Part C. Now that we know the general ideas about each of the different options, we'll dive a little bit further into each one. So what does original Medicare actually cover? Well, it covers exactly what is written on the card here, but it only covers what is medically necessary for hospital care or medical care. Now, our hospital care as listed on there is our Part A, and our medical care is our Part B. Now, what are the costs of this insurance, you might wonder? Well, for being an awesome individual and paying into Medicare taxes for 40 quarters, or your spouse picking up that slack for you, Part A is going to be on the house for you. There is quite a bit of out-of-pocket costs associated with Part A. First off, there's a deductible. Now, that deductible for 2021 is $1,484 per every period, which is every 60 days. Okay, and even after that, we still have to take care of some co-pays and co-insurances. Most people don't realize that, and that's why I highly recommend against just having original Medicare. It covers some, but if you have several hospital stays, that could take care of any savings that you have and drain them. So for Part B, our medical insurance, we pay a monthly premium for that, and it is based off your last 2 years of income. So if you've just retired, you may actually pay more than this, but the average is $148.50 a month, and that is for 2021. Now, there is a deductible that needs to be sufficed. It's a lot more stomachable than the deductible in Part A. It is $203 for the whole year. And after that, the plan will actually pay 80% of the care. And of course, then you pay the remaining 20% of the care. But remember, that is of medically necessary items only. It does not cover prescription care, dental care, or vision care. So all these other items that you may want coverage for would need to have separate insurance. That's why we want to look at some more options. So when we're looking at this option number 2, remember, we're keeping original Medicare in place as is, and your insurance is being provided to you by the government, through the government, everything. And we're just going to put what is called a Medicare Supplement or a Medigap policy in place to take care of those gaps to help us protect us from all of the high out-of-pocket costs in original Medicare. And these Medicare supplements, they are standardized, meaning that every single plan is the same, regardless of what company you go with. The only difference, basically, is the price. And these are what are called plans. So you've got Plan G, Plan N, Plan F, which is no longer offered to those new individuals on Medicare, Plan L, and the list goes on and on. So on this option number 2, when we're looking at the costs of this side, we have to pay our Part A, our Part B, and then our plan, for these purposes, we're just going to say G. And we also want to be taking a look at this here. This is our Part D. And Part D stands for drugs. So let's take a little bit deeper dive into Part D. So the government wants to make sure that people have this Part D Medicare insurance in place. If we don't, and then we decided to get it later on, they're actually going to tack on a penalty. This penalty is kind of hefty. If you don't have any prescriptions and you're thinking about deferring on getting a Part D, I would think about it, because the penalty is 1% per month, and that is the national average, not the premium price that you have, but the national average premium price tacked on to your premium every month. And guess for how long they tack it on? They actually tack it on to your premium indefinitely. So it's a good thing that we want to make sure that we have some form of prescription drug coverage in place. And I know in the Omaha area, there are plans that are very, very cheap, under $10 a month. So good to get something in place so that later on you don't have a crazy, ridiculous penalty attached onto your plan. Now, the deductible for this, there is a deductible, but it works a little different than in Part A and Part B. Part A and Part B, you have to have that deductible sufficed anytime and every time before the coverage kicks in. On this Part D, different plans, different companies can choose to have the deductible or not. and they can choose a deductible anywhere in between 0 and the max, which is set by the government. And for 2021, it is set at $445 for the year. Now, this deductible can be for all prescriptions. It can be for some prescriptions. It just depends on the plan, on the company. So yes, clear as mud. So let's go back into the costs on this option number 2. So of course, we've got Part A, we've got our Part B, $148.50. We've got our Plan G. Typically, when you first get on Medicare, your premium prices for these supplements are low. Just because you've just turned 65, they're based off of age, and as long as you get in initially on the first round, you don't have to go through any underwriting questions. It's on the house. And then, of course, we talked about our Part D, which is getting our prescriptions in place, and that can be anywhere from $10 a month, prescriptions included, to about, obviously it ranges, all depending on who you are, how many prescriptions that you're taking. But the highest I've seen this year is around $300 a month. And of course, if we want to have dental, vision, hearing insurance, things like that, gym membership, there's going to be a cost associated with these particular insurances. So when we're looking at this option 2, our risk over here is our premium. Our risk is that we pay the premium and don't even use the product. Here we have our option number 3. Remember, it is our choice to get this insurance through a private insurance company. We still have the same rights and privileges as we do on original Medicare. Our insurance is just provided by the private insurance company. So our Part C, how it came about is the government had a particular budget set aside for individuals on Medicare. And because they're pretty good at what they're doing, being a government, and maybe not so great at insurance, they noticed that they set that budget for every individual kind of low. And they reached out to the private insurance companies and said, if you guys can create a plan that at minimum covers exactly what original Medicare covers, what we will do is we will forward over premiums as well as some of the budget over to you so that we can financially relieve ourselves from that burden. So you can think of Part C as our A plus our B plus our D. Now, when we're looking at what all of these plans cover, they not only just cover what original Medicare covers as well as our drug coverage, but they also take care of dental, vision, hearing, gym membership. There's a lot of companies out there that have over-the-counter cards, so giving you an allotment every month or every quarter to be able to utilize for over-the-counter items, things like toothbrush, toothpastes, antihistamines, things like that. These plans were designed to keep people as healthy as possible to help lower the amount of claims within the policy. So let's look at our costs on this side. We've got our Part A, our Part B, and our Part C premium costs. So as we're going down the line here, we remember 0, $148.50. Now, the costs of Part C, all depending on what type of plan you have. You could have this HMO plan and not have any premium cost. Or what you could have is a PPO, which allows you to utilize doctors outside of the network where the HMO does not. And that may cost you a little bit more per month, maybe $30 a month. But it is a pay-as-you-go type of plan. So there will be copays and coinsurances associated with this plan. And that sometimes is what scares individuals about these plans. But let's look at a couple of those costs. So for instance, seeing a primary care physician on this plan may cost you anywhere from $0 to $5. A specialist may cost you anywhere from $30 to $45. So let's put 40 there. Now this is what scares people a little bit. A hospital stay. It could cost you $400 per day of days 1 through 5. And that's where some people get a little bit hesitant about these plans. Also, if you're considered an outpatient, they could potentially charge you for labs. They could charge you for x-rays, blood work, diagnostics. So they would all be separate payments and copays, which is what makes people a little bit hesitant about these plans. The one thing that helps protect you against this unlimited expense over here in Original Medicare is the government put a cap on the maximum amount of money that you would spend on these medical benefits. And they call it the max out of pocket, or MOOP. For 2021, they've set that MOOP out at $7,550 for the year. Now, that is kind of a high number. There are a lot of plans around here in Omaha, Nebraska that have maximum out-of-pockets that are substantially lower than that by about half. So when you're looking at the risk on this side, it is the MOOP. Now, if you see, there is this extra card over here. It is called Hospital Indemnity Insurance. Now, this can be put in place in conjunction with your Part C to help protect you against these high out-of-pocket costs here. Now, a hospital indemnity plan, it works out that you can design it however you want. You can have it pay you out exactly what you owe for a hospital stay. Or you could set it up to have it pay you out $100 more every day that you're in the hospital than what your plan is requiring you to pay. That way you can set aside money for if you were considered an out-of-patient individual and needed to suffice a couple more of these extra prices and copays. So the hospital indemnity insurance is very similar to how our Medicare supplement works to Original Medicare. It doesn't work exactly the same because it doesn't cover all of the expenses that are associated with a Medicare Part C plan, but it does cover the more high out-of-pocket costs. And our hospital indemnity plan, maybe if you wanted to cover quite a bit of your out-of-pocket expenses, since it's based off of age, may cost you about $40 a month. So you can see why a lot of people look towards these Advantage plans. Especially if you have a hospital indemnity plan in place, it can save you quite a bit of money. You're only on the hook for your Part B, your Part C, if you even have a cost to that insurance, and then this hospital indemnity, and then any other kinds of copays and coinsurances that you would need to take care of. On top of the fact that you get all these extra benefits over here, dental, vision, hearing, gym, so you don't have to have an extra premium associated with your plan like there would be on this option too. One insurance isn't the best for every individual. There's individuals that love the option number 2, and there's some people that just don't like to have that premium risk. They'd rather save the money, protect themselves against the high out-of-pocket costs, and allow that money to grow for them and start saving a rainy day fund. So these are the different options when we're looking at our Medicare insurance. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to think about. It most certainly isn't something that should just be a spur of the moment type of decision. This should take some care, some thought. But there are a lot of different agents out there who either don't recommend one or the other, but every single individual has their own comfort bubble, and they have their own ways that they want their insurance to go. And that is why I'm on the side of educating them to their options as well as their risks on each insurance, so that they are prepared for what is going to happen and can happen in the future.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned a little nugget or two about your Medicare insurance options. We'll see you next time. Have a blessed rest of your week.